Because your brain doesn't know how to deal with amorphous energy beings.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
I do.
You're looking at them, they're looking at you, and everybody's freaking the hell out. And everybody's jumping out of their skin. That's drinking ayahuasca. Like, oh shit, did I pull down a curtain on an entire communist building?
Yeah. And
now I got 12,000 communist families looking at us capitalists.
Oh my God.
And saying, well, we're actually eating lentils. And don't you eat lentils? And you're thinking, they're just communists, they don't eat anything. So we're kind of, how do we deal with all this nonsense?
Yeah.
So when people say, oh, well, I saw this, I saw that, I think a lot of what people see is that we simply compartmentalize seeing spirits in a similar way. I also think that an awful lot of people were influenced by Terence McKenna, who talked about machine elves.
Right.
And that was such an easy way to visualize some of these spirits that even if you didn't mean to, it's easy to say, oh, there they are, the machine elves.
Yeah.
I don't think they're machine elves, and I don't think they are looky-loos. I think they're individual spirits.
Yeah.
What and I know you know this, but, if you want to talk to a mountain has been here from the beginning of time. I mean, the same moment, whatever the freak creation was, and I don't want to get into a religious discussion, but whatever the hell it was, right?
Yeah, right.
Somewhere along the line, humans we became humans. I don't know how, but somehow we did.
Right, it happened.
At the same time, rocks look to have been rocks from the beginning of time.
Yeah.
They might have been part of an explosion of lava, a volcano, but how do humans relate to those rocks? How do we connect with them? How can you slow down enough with your lifespan of 50, 60, 80 years? How fast that is compared to something that was lava 2 billion years ago. And is now home to beautiful flowers. 2 billion years later. How slow is that moving compared to how fast you're moving? How do you relate to that? You better slow down a lot. Or you're not going to be able to relate. And I think the medicine here is a medicine that will allow you, afford you, just for a moment. If you want to do it for the rest of your life, you really have to work hard. But it will give you a glimpse of how to relate to the spirit of that rock. How to relate to the spirit of that building. How to relate to the spirit of that transmission in your car. And now, anyway.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, the indigenous tribes have been basically talking about that since the beginning of time. So it makes sense that we would be able to, in an altered state, be able to communicate with different time frames. The spirit of different elements or elementals that exist in a different way than we do. We're not used to.
And one of the issues that a lot of us deal with when thinking about, indigenous tribes is the idea that somehow we're kind of bred into the idea that we're better, we know more, etc. And the answer, in the reality, is not everybody who talks indigenous, not everybody who walks that, not everybody who talks that can walk that.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, for a lot of people, it's a phony, baloney thing.
Yeah.
Even if it's part of their culture, it's still not something they can do. So, how do you come to be able to relate to that? I think it's a lot of work. Now, you don't need ayahuasca. I mean, certainly you could do it with meditation. You could do it with getting hit by lightning 12 times. Probably you could do it if you drink enough beer. I don't know. We all think we can do it if we drink enough beer.
Right.
At least until we forget what the hell happened last night. But, but I'm not saying it doesn't happen with that. I'm just saying it's like, the reality is, there is a spirit in everything.
Yeah.
And there was an old Ute teacher of mine, Bertha Grove, who was beautiful and wonderful Ute medicine woman, who sucked out medicine from a boy during a peyote ceremony 25 years ago. Third or fourth ceremony I was with her. And she said, "Did you see how I sucked that out?" Next morning I said, "Yeah, I lied." He said, "No, you didn't. I sucked out his disease, but I didn't let it go in me."
Right.
Okay, what does that mean? Well, because his disease has the same life force you have and I have.
Right.
It wants to stay alive. If I let it get into me, it would become a disease for me. So I caught it in my mouth, I spit it out, and I sent it to a planet that, no matter how long the future of the world is, will never be inhabited. I wrapped it up in white, sacramental tissue, and sent it away. Said, if you just catch the disease and spit it out, it's on the floor, and now whoever walks next to that is going to step on it or near it, and it will catch them. And with this kid, it might have been a cold or meningitis, but it will stay alive and mutate into whatever the hell it needs to mutate to stay alive.
That's right. That makes sense.
And she was like very insistent. Peter, you have to learn how to eliminate these things. Now, I got lucky 20 years later and was shown a place that to me was described as a red room, like a big cavern, where doctors turned that negative energy into positive stuff. But my sister, who Bertha Grove, my sister was a healer. I don't mean that exotically. She was a acupuncturist, and she was also really cool because she designed the MTV logo. And was called by Time Magazine one of the top designers of the 20th century.
Wow.
And, for that, and she's always been Sting's personal designer, etc., and Billy Idol's and a lot of people's. But she became an acupuncturist, and she began absorbing diseases. And on about maybe 4 years after I knew Bertha, she allowed me to bring my sister. And Bertha, when she talked about disease that day, called my sister over and said, "Peter, your sister, look at her." Now, this is my oldest sister who doesn't pay attention to me, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, she'll tell all her friends I'm the greatest, but I'm still her baby brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you got older sisters, but, you're great for her friends, but you're not good enough for her.
Right.
So she was like, "Peter, what's your friend saying?" And I was saying, "Well, Bertha's saying, Patty, you have just absorbed 2,000 diseases from different people with your acupuncture, and you don't know how to get rid of them, and you're going to die." And Patty laughed, and 4 months later, Patty got sick, and she's been sick for 25 years.
Wow.
I mean, sick. And she's got Chinese seeping stomach, even though she's not Chinese.
Wow.
And she has got, she's got diseases that are so race-specific, it's ridiculous. But she's a white girl from Queens, New York, just like I'm a white boy from Queens, New York.
Wow.
You know, and it's like, but Bertha said, you got this shit all over you.
Wow.
You don't know how to get rid of it. We don't let it come into us. We catch it and throw it away.
Oh, my goodness.
You're catching it and letting it hit you.
Oh,
and I don't think Bertha convinced her to get sick, because Patty really has not enjoyed it. But, you know, she's got so many race-specific diseases. It really is just, I mean, I don't know. I guess sometimes talking about this, and Lance, I know you know this. I don't know if your audience knows this, but it's almost, it sounds ridiculous to talk about it to people who don't really understand disease or pain or spirit. And so here I'm talking about my sister, you know, catching or collecting other people's diseases. And I know that for a lot of people is like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But on the other hand, I also know, well, if you deal with diseases, if you deal with healing people, if you deal with stuff, you definitely understand all this. It's so clear.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe I'm just being, you know, I don't mean to be arrogant about talking about it as if people know, because I know people don't know, and I didn't know.
Right, right. And that makes perfect sense that, you know, these are living entities that have a form of consciousness, and everything wants to live, you know, and I know a lot of healers that do healing, and they have to use protection, and, you know, like you said, it has to be, if a disease is removed, it has to be disposed of, you know, in the cosmic recycling bin where it belongs, and not just put out there where somebody else can stumble across it and pick it up. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, somewhere along the line, dog poop is going to make you slip on the sidewalk.
Right.
And you know darn well it's going to make you especially slip on the sidewalk on the day when you have a meeting, which can change your damn career.
Right, right.
And there you are, whoa, falling on your butt, and dog poop on your shoe, your pants got cut. Well, that's not even negative.
Right, right.
That's just normal.
Right.
And it'll ruin your life.
Right.
Imagine if someone could take your pneumonia.
Yeah.
Or your allergy.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking simple stuff. I'm not talking anything complicated. I'm talking, imagine you have heartache because, and I pray I'm not stepping on toes. Imagine if your mom died this week and you had pain from that. And please, God, I hope I didn't just say the wrong thing. But if you did, how much is your pain? And then if Bertha was there, you know?
Yeah.
Not me, but imagine Bertha Grove, the Ute elder.
Right.
Would look at you and say, Lance, you need to suffer through it, but there's part of it you're taking on yourself that's not yours. You could not have helped that.
Yeah.
Let me suck that part out of your head. Let me suck that part out of your soul. Because your mother still is gone.